What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, Cam ATL, and welcome back to an MLB High Five video with your boy. It is a Friday, ladies and gentlemen, thank God. Hopefully everybody's excited for the weekend. I sure am. I'm excited to go into the weekend with an absolute bang. NBA playoff slates are going for 7 in a row tonight. So that is fantastic. We have been absolutely destroying NBA. MLB has been like every start of any season to any sport. It's been a little slow in the beginning of MLB with people, struggling, still warming up, things kind of normalizing and stuff like that. But no excuses. It is what it is. It's a slow start to MLB. A lot of people are having slow start to MLB. It is always hard at the beginning of a season because guys are coming in with different swings. A whole bunch of pitchers have gotten better that used to be worse, and pitchers that were good last year are worse this year. It's like there's a lot that needs to go into things to kind of normalize, and then things start flowing smooth. But as you guys know, last year in MLB we had probably around 10 takedowns throughout the season. I'd say around 10 or so, while consistently cashing in single entry double ups every other night at least. It was a huge season last year, so I'm not too worried about MLB regardless of how down the start has been. We're only a couple weeks into the season, so excited for how big of a season we're going to have once again. Last year was the same way. It was even worse than this year, really. I mean, it was horrible at the start of baseball, and then all of a sudden we just took control and smashed from about a quarter of the season in type of thing. But excited to get into this slate today, ladies and gentlemen. As you guys know, the player prop tools are at greenlightdfs.com. When you get the daily combo, which is what you should do, get the daily combo that has NBA and MLB included. You will get the player prop tool for NBA and MLB as well. The strikeout for the player prop tool, we've been doing amazing on the pitching strikeouts. Has been fantastic. I'm excited that I'm working right now on a hitter fantasy score to add to the player prop tool. That'll work. For now, you can use the optimizer for that. So I'm just excited for the things to come. We are smashing DFS and NBA especially, and MLB will get back on track. Player prop tools are smashing for people who love player props. Sports betting tool will come eventually. So Greenlight, great things are happening in Greenlight DFS, and I'm just super excited, super grateful, super blessed. Hope everybody is having an amazing week so far, or had an amazing week. Let's go ahead and get straight into this, man. Let's start the weekend off with a bang for MLB, all right? So first things first. They are absolutely being disrespectful to my Atlanta Braves, okay? Now, I get it, okay? The bottom of this Braves order has some, some good strikeouts in it, blah, blah, blah. But Austin Riley, Marcelo Zuna, Ozzy Albies, Matt Olson, these dudes are knocking the ball, okay? These dudes are hitting the ball very, very well. The hard hit rate for these guys, like if you look at teams with the hard contact rate, like a high hard contact percentage. Now, what that kind of tells you, for anybody who's newish, when you look at hard contact rate, it kind of tells you how hard the ball is being hit. Now, a lot of guys can get unlucky, right? A lot of guys can get, there are times where guys will get unlucky and they have a huge hard contact rate, but so far this year, they just haven't been able to find the open spots in the defense, that kind of thing. It hasn't really been generating the fantasy points, but in the long run, it does. So that's the plus side. In the long run, hard contact will end up generating fantasy points, whether it's home runs, whether it's doubles, whether it's triples, whether it's just singles. As long as, if it's hard contact, that means the batter is seeing it well and hitting it on the barrel of the bat and hitting it well and clean and seeing the ball well. And if a batter is seeing a ball well, that means eventually things are going to normalize and things are going to do great. And that's what I'm saying. That's the beginning of the season type of stuff. Look at Shohei Ohtani. We all know Shohei Ohtani is one of the best batters in the entire baseball, all of baseball. His hard hit rate right now is like a 30%, which is incredibly low. Okay, he is struggling batting wise. There was a video the other day where Shohei Ohtani was giving CPR to his bat in the dugout. Everyone goes through these things, especially in the beginning of the year, but Shohei Ohtani will find it sooner rather than later, which is why we're going to talk about him in this high five. But let's go ahead and get straight into this pitchers. Now, because we have the Atlanta Braves who are just being absolutely hoed, they are being hoed on their prices today. So that's completely fine. We have value. Now, I want the best pitcher on the slate because there are levels to this shit. Plain and simple. Justin Verlander is arms and legs and full-on bodies ahead of everybody else on this slate. Justin Verlander is an absolute beast. We know that. Now, the matchup against Toronto is not ideal. Okay, plain and simple. It is not ideal. It's not the best matchup you can ask for. But this lineup, this Toronto lineup, has a combined 0 batting average versus Justin Verlander. Okay, not good. Okay, these guys are not very good. They've also striked out the guys who have faced Verlander: Bichette, Guerrero, Biggio, Chapman. These guys in the lineup who have seen Verlander are striking out over 50% of the time. Guerrero hasn't struck out at all versus Verlander, but also hasn't gotten a hit versus Verlander. But Bichette, Biggio, and Chapman have not gotten any hits versus Verlander. These dudes have not gotten hits, okay? Verlander has looked pretty damn solid so far this year. His K rate is there, which is fantastic, okay? His last game against Seattle, he pitched 87 pitches, which would tell me that he's probably worked his way into the 90s this game. So expect Justin Verlander to be in the 90s. Toronto's also one of the lower totals of the day, so the Vegas also agrees that Verlander's probably going to have a good outing. You don't fade a guy as good as Justin Verlander is. Now, pitchers, they can bust, yes, but in MLB DFS, the most important part is getting your pitching right. Most of the time, the studs, you guys know, the big names, the main guys, these guys aren't going to bust on a normal occasion, okay? Most of the time, these guys are going to get you some positive points, and sometimes that's all you need, whereas at the same time, these studs can get you slate breaker type of upside, okay? Justin Verlander in 2019 against Toronto, which was not this offense, and I'm not comparing it, I'm just giving you an example of upside, got 61 points and struck out 14. That's the kind of upside that pitchers have at times. You know what I'm saying? Now the sticky is kind of being watched. You know what I mean? So I don't expect any 14s. But Justin Verlander, and against this good Toronto offense, I don't expect anywhere near that. But Verlander is so far and away the best pitcher on this slate, and we have value at the hitters. It kind of just comes down to roster construction, and I really land on Justin Verlander majority of the time so far. Next up, Chris Flexen. Kansas City is one of the lowest totals on this slate in Vegas. Okay, that will tell me, as well as Seattle being favored here. So Chris Flexen is 6K. He is favored at home in Seattle, a pitcher-friendly ballpark, okay, going against a bad Kansas City offense. This is a fantastic spot for Chris Flexen at 6K. Really, really like him. He is the guy that I'll be pairing with whoever else I go. If you decide that you don't want to pay up on Verlander, let's say you have an urge to want to spend up on an offense, which there's not really any offense to spend up for today, but if you feel like you need to, then going down from Verlander to like maybe a Screwball, who I have at 16.9, maybe a Ranger Suarez. These guys, you can consider it. That's fine. But mostly, I haven't had any issues with Verlander, and I don't think you will either. So Verlander and Chris Flexen as the pitchers on this slate today. All right? Now, I told you I'll talk about Ohtani. Now, a couple of my favorite hitters on the slate. And this should be no surprise because they are the highest total on the slate. They're going against a horrible pitcher in Zimmerman who gives up a ton of hard contact. If there's any spot for Shohei Ohtani to get back to his hard contact, like I said earlier, his hard contact is slipping today. He's not hitting the ball very hard so far this year. Okay? But if you look at last year, he was smacking the ball, one of the highest hard contact rates in the MLB. And we all know that. It's no surprise. We know Shohei Ohtani is good. Okay, it's just beginning of the year. These guys are still warming up, and that's exactly why my usual win rate's not where it is. And a lot of people's is. It is what it is. It's the beginning of the season. But at the end of the day, you play these guys in the good spots. Now, Shohei Ohtani is a lefty. He's facing a lefty. That might keep a lot of people off of him. But Shohei Ohtani mashes lefties. 269 ISO, 361 WOBA. Dude's an absolute monster versus lefties. So this isn't a spot where you really got to avoid this. It's a lefty-lefty, which might keep his ownership low. And he is 6'3". But honestly, this Angels offense is for good reason priced up. I really see a ton of runs being put up here at home in LA. The wind is blowing out to center field around 10 miles per hour. This is just a fantastic spot, okay? Plain and simple, this is a fantastic spot, and I'm extremely excited to get some exposure to some Angels. I'm not going to put him in the high five, but I really love Ohtani, Mike Trout, obviously, Rendon. These guys are fantastic options on this slate. Now, let's talk about the guys who are just not priced appropriately. Ozzie Albies versus a left each and every day. I will take him. Okay, each and every day. Now, Trevor Rogers is not a horrible pitcher by no means, but this is Ozzie Albies at home in Atlanta, and he has been absolutely crushing the ball this season. He's been one of the best hitters in baseball. He is a fantastic option today. He has a 276 ISO and a 419 WOBA versus lefties. He has a 300 batting average versus Rogers himself, so his history is okay. I just really like this spot for Ozzie Albies. Anytime he faces a lefty, I'm all in on Ozzie Albies at 4-6. All right, now this is absolutely ridiculous. Marcell Ozuna is hitting the ball harder than the majority of baseball players right now. Okay, he's got one of the highest hard contact rates in all of baseball. He's been crushing the ball plain and simple this year, especially versus lefties, having over a 400 batting average. Marcell Ozuna is a fantastic option today. Don't overthink it. Righty-lefty matchup, only 3K. A lot of people sleeping on my Braves as value bets today, and I don't think you should. These guys are solid options, and majority of this lineup, Adam Duvall, Matt Olson, Albies, Ozuna, are hitting the ball extremely hard this year. Okay, so that's going to normalize, and this offense is going to really start exploding here soon. And facing a lefty is a good spot for Atlanta here. All right, last but not least, as a value, I really like Austin Slater. Austin Slater normally will lead off versus left-handed pitching, and now we have Corbin pitching for Washington today, which is a fantastic spot for Austin Slater to get right here. At 2-4, I love this spot for him, man. He's just like a plug-and-play, locked-in value. If he's leading off and he's facing a lefty, he's only 2-4. This dude's got stolen base potential. Okay, it's just a fantastic spot. Austin Slater is a guy who can steal a base, like I said. He gets on base pretty damn well versus lefties. He's only 2-4 leading off. I mean, it's plain and simple. All right, I had to put him in the high five because he's fantastic value and he opens so much up for the lineups. All right, he opens up for like an Ohtani and a Mike Trout. All right, anyways, thank you guys for joining me as always, and there we go, Justin Verlander. Let me put Slater in here. Justin Verlander, seeing that he's just so much better than everyone else, and we have so much value at the batting spot today. Chris Flexen, favored, going against a bad Kansas City offense at home in Seattle, a pitcher-friendly ballpark. Ozzie Albies versus a lefty has been a lock this year. Marcell Ozuna versus a lefty at only 3K, one of the highest hard contacts in the entire league so far. Marcell Ozuna is on fire. Expect him to have a big game. I think Ozuna's probably going to get a home run in this one. And then Austin Slater at only 2-5, 2-4. Potentially leading off. Most of the time against lefties he will. So expect Austin Slater to be leading off for this San Francisco offense. And I forgot to mention, San Francisco, one of the highest total teams on this slate by Vegas. Vegas considers San Francisco to be one of the best offenses to target on this entire slate. Now in baseball, Vegas is not something to keep too much merit into, but at the end of the day, it is something. And San Francisco is in a solid spot here against Corbin, a pitcher who you at one point was very good. Now he's kind of slipping, and San Francisco's in a fantastic spot to smash here. All right, they're getting a park upgrade going to Washington from San Francisco, which is more of a pitcher-friendly ballpark. They're getting an upgrade going to Washington here, more of a hitter-friendly. So I really like this spot for these guys. And Slater, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't even know why I'm going on and on about this dude too long. He's 2-4. He's leading off, facing a lefty, has stolen base potential. I mean, it is what it is. Now, the only negative, I will say one negative about Slater, is that he has high pinch hit probability. Like, he could definitely get pinch hit for after a couple at bats. You know what I'm saying? So if he doesn't do anything in his first few at bats or so, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pinch hit for. Okay? But at the end of the day, you don't want to worry too much about that. That is an option, yes, but at 2-4, he's such good value. I think he's a solid option. As you see, I have him projected at 9.24 because I want people getting exposure to that fantastic value today, and it's just a fantastic spot. All right? So thank you guys for joining me as always, and let's get this money tonight, baby. Let's get NBA to 7 in a row. I'll be posting my prize picks. As you know, if you get an NBA MLB package, you get my prize picks, favorite plays, as well as access to the player prop tools that'll also help you get more plays if you want. If you want to do a single game parlay, it's so easy to do that using the player prop tool. You can just type the team name in and all the players will pull up. You'll get hit percentage, you know, the best plays, how often they've hit that, all that good stuff. You know what I mean? The player prop tool is fantastic. Greenlight Optimizer, obviously. Utilize it. Take advantage of it. You can use it for hitter fantasy score as well. That's a good thing to use it for. And that's about it, man. Let's turn MLB around. Let's really start smashing MLB like we did last season. It was around this time where things started getting back to normal. So I'm excited for a big weekend here for baseball and to continue smashing NBA and get 7 in a row tonight. Thank you guys for joining me as always, and I'm out. Peace.